All right. Welcome into this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. Corey Moen, Evan Byrne. Evan, how we doing?
Could be better. Could be better. I think it's the weather change that's been making me feel wonky outside of sports stuff. Having it be 80 degrees on Friday, and then tomorrow for our home opener, we're looking at cloudy and 40.
Yeah,
I think
not
that's
opening
making
the
me sad.
we'll open the roof tomorrow, that's for sure.
Yep.
All right. Today we're going to be talking about the Bucks' losses to the Phoenix Suns, Denver Nuggets, and New York Knicks. We're going to be talking about the impact of Damian Lillard's injury because at this current juncture, it does have a bit of an impact when you lose like one of your top playmakers. And then we're going to get into LeBron's comments about Giannis, where if you missed it, he said that Giannis could score 270 points in a game like being played in the 1970s. So Evan, to kind of kick things off, Milwaukee's at the tail end of their West Coast trip, dropped an unfortunate game against the Phoenix Suns. I believe it was 107 to 106. Do I have that right? 106, 105?
108, 106.
108, 106.
Game winner.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because Milwaukee had every opportunity to win this game.
Correct. They didn't.
And unfortunately, and again, they had a couple leads, but the third quarter happened and the fourth quarter happened, and then Kevin Durant happened, and it was just
Jesus Christ.
I mean, Kevin Durant's going to do Kevin Durant things. Okay, he scored about 35. It was pretty.
Could not miss a three.
Could not miss a three, but I think the concerning part for me for this game was that it just looked like large stretches when Milwaukee was just not playing any defense. And that is no hyperbole. There were multiple occasions where Kevin Durant was being left wide open. And I'm like, all right, well, I mean, that's an interesting strategy to, leave one of the greatest scorers in the game wide open for, like these weren't even, like if this were like a PJ Tucker type of defensive show, that'd be one thing where it's like, oh, you can be still make a shot. No, that's not what it was. It was just, and one point the Bucks had a 2-point lead. Kevin Durant against Brook Lopez. There's a wide open three. Boom. Then they take the lead. But I think the more concerning part was the fact that, what Phoenix has what Milwaukee doesn't, which is they have guys who can run to the basketball and give them extra possessions. Okay, multiple occasions where Ryan Dunn did that. Ryan Dunn also dunked on Giannis, too. They have guys like Royce O'Neal. Okay, they have, they just have Colin Gillespie was making plays. So it's just one of those things where, you get those plucky G League guys and like those, just those young players that Milwaukee just doesn't have. And, those fresh legs just kill you in the end. And unfortunately, I can't sit here and be like Milwaukee has a bunch of guys who have fresh legs because they don't. Because they've decided to build a roster built with older players. And that's fine, but sometimes you just need younger players to be able to break that up. And look, I understand that Ryan Rollins is starting, but that's literally out of necessity because Damian Lillard's not in there. I just think that I'm just really trying to question, Ajax wasn't playing bad.
So, they definitely could have used him in these games.
So I'm sitting there being like, even put him in there for 10 minutes. Give your team a spark. You've seen it work in the past. It works. So what I'm trying to understand is why Doc Rivers is so content on just keep rolling out the same older roster and keep rolling out the same rotations. When you throw a couple young guys in there and provide a spark like Ryan Rollins has, it'll work. This team provides a spark. They feed off that energy. But, and And again, I've watched enough of Kyle Kuzma to know he doesn't care about getting others involved. Literally, every time I see Kyle Kuzma on the block, I've never seen him look to pass.
Very Aaron Gordon of him. Is it Aaron Gordon or is it what's his name
It's
on the
MPJ.
Nuggets? Yes,
It's
MPJ.
MPJ. It's MPJ where he just and there was a shot against the Suns the other night. I don't know if you ever saw this, but there was a shot against the Suns the other night where it was a wild ass shot, and he tried to draw a foul, and it was just not even close. It's like, what are we doing? Like, Kyle Kuzma is the most confounding basketball player that I think I've ever watched as a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. It's like, I'll hate what he does one possession, and then the next possession he draws a foul. But he's also not that great of a foul shooter. So then it's just like, I honestly don't know what to feel. I have mixed feelings on watching Kyle Kuzma play the game of basketball because I know he's good, but sometimes he just tries to do way too much and he doesn't harness it. And, then it just kind of turns into like he tries to play 1-on-4. And I'm like, how are we going to sit here and be like, this guy's like a way better third option than Chris Middleton? He'll put up numbers, but I just don't know. I sometimes question is if he's a team guy or if he's just looking to pad his stats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was one of those games where it's like the Bucks did like everything right and they still lost.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of that, I actually wanted to show a play from the game. This was Devin Booker's game-winning shot. So give me 1 second.
Yes, where Brook Lopez was guarding him.
Yeah, so as you can see here, okay, this was a Suns game-winning shot.
Wide open.
I want to run that. I want to run that by you again. So Devin Booker comes right there. Okay, Gary Trent Jr. is like way over here for some reason. So he catches. So he's gonna catch it right there. There was nobody within 5 feet of him. Like what? What the hell? What the hell? Honestly. Like, so, and Brook Lopez has to be forced to chase, and because Gary Trent's over here for some reason.
And he's got from basically half court to the free throw line of wide open. And that's his shot.
Like, what the hell? Like, honestly, I was so mad, like, when I was like, that was their game-winning shot, because I was like, that is legitimately the easiest game-winning shot Devin Booker will make and take in his entire career. That defensive plan, whoever set that up, should be fired. I don't know what that was. I don't know what that was supposed to be. I don't know whose fault it was because everybody just looked like they were standing there in no man's land. I don't know. And again, it was a Mike Budenholzer play, so it wasn't like oh my God, like this play was, it was like creative or anything like that. It wasn't. It was just no. I don't even know if anybody set a screen. Like, I just don't know what was supposed to happen there. But
yeah, getting to the point where Brook Lopez is the main defender on the guy who is going to be taking the shot.
If I'm like, you gotta deny somebody the basketball, right? You gotta make it a little tough on him. But having Devin Booker take a running start to the basketball, and then take a mid-range shot where he's like probably made most of his money and made most of his career. It's like, why? Like, why was that the plan? Why? Like, why was Giannis not more involved in the play? Like, there's just so many questions I have. And the other issue I have, okay, and you watched the entire game, right? Did you
Yeah.
watch it? Okay. The other issue
Yeah, I watched it live.
Huh?
I watched it live and then went to
Okay.
bed.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So the other issue I have, the shot that Milwaukee took on the ensuing possession.
Horrible. I think it was Kuzma, right?
It was Brooke Lopez
Oh
taking a
yeah, Brooke taking a.
fadeaway shot over Kevin
Yep.
Durant. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, two awful ways to end the game. Like, you got to get
Yeah,
something going towards the basket, but it's like, and again, you got to
especially when
remember
you have enough time.
what?
It's not a catch and shoot where like you had a second and a half. You had plenty of time to find your spot.
But even if they had enough time, that's not the shot I want me to take it at the over Kevin Durant.
hmm
I give credit to Brooke Lopez; he got something up on the rim, and it was close. But it's like that. Why is that the shot? Like, give Giannis a running start or something. But geez, have guys draw a foul. Like, but why? Why is a fadeaway shot over Kevin Durant the shot that Milwaukee decided to be like that? That's gonna be like, that's gonna be our, that's gonna win the game, or that's gonna like
Yeah,
win
we'll
the game.
show them.
Why? Like, it's confound. It is
Jesus.
so confounding to me. It is confusing. But I mean, it's just I'm at a loss for words for why they had a chance to win, but they just crapped it away in the end. And the concerning part is that the concerning part about this is that they just haven't shown that they can play well without Damian Lillard.
Oh, not at all. Having the game on right now, they look horrible.
They do not look good. They don't look good. And the problem is, and I'm watching this team offensively, there's no cohesion. None. Giannis having to do everything, that there's no cohesiveness offensively. None. Giannis is drawing fouls, he's doing everything he can. He's dragging this team on his back. But you can't win that way. And the reason why you can't win that way is because we're like, a couple weeks out for the playoffs?
hmm
The other guys have to step up. You really do, because if the other guys don't step up and it's just Lillard and Giannis, let me tell you something. There's an early first round exit right there. Like, because let me tell you, as you go on in the playoffs, you're going to need at least one role player to have a game. If Lillard and Giannis are struggling, you need to have like a Gary Trent or a Kevin Porter or like I even throw Lopez in there or a Kuzma. You need to have somebody to like have a game. But if Giannis is doing all the work and everybody's just, taking the A on the group project, then like this is not a very good team. And this team is very top heavy. And that's the fear I had before heading into the season, that this team wasn't going to do enough. They were going to be really top heavy. Okay. And it was just going to be like just a team like they're just dragging by with like 45 wins. And that's what they look like right now. Because they're at 40-32 right now.
And that was literally the exact same thing with the Nuggets game. That was, again, one of the most easiest wins they could have had. But with all the offensive rebounds, like, there's just so many sloppy plays where it's just like,
Yep.
yep, that's why you didn't win.
Yep. And we're moving on to that Nuggets game. Okay, because like you said, they had a shot to beat the Nuggets.
Their bench went off. Everything, again, going well. And then you just can't play defense. Or box out, I should say. Not even play defense, just box out. They get so many extra possessions that lead to three-pointers, especially for, what was it, Michael Porter Jr., who started off so hot that game. 6 for 8 on threes.
Perfect.
But yeah, giving at the stat up, they had 8 offensive rebounds. Like Christian Braun had 4 offensive rebounds. Why are we giving? And then he's fast too, so then he gets it right back up, takes a shot. But yeah, 3 guys had 10 plus rebounds. Not a good look.
And Joker's going to be Joker, okay? He's going to be, Joker's going to be Joker. Okay? 39, 10, 10. I mean, that was just, And by the way, speaking of Joker, I've regarded him as probably the greatest big man passer in NBA history, because I want to show you this pass.
I know exactly what you're going to show.
Oh, hang on. Give me a sec.
clean.
Nope. Like, nope. There's nobody else. There's nobody else in the NBA who does that. I'm like, it was so good. Like, I rewatched the game on like the NBA, NBA app. They re-showed that like 3 or 4 times. That was the cleanest pass I think I've ever seen in an NBA basketball game. It was ridiculous. And I don't think there's anybody else who could have made that pass. It was sick. And he is like a very, very good – he could have been a very good quarterback. He just throws the ball in spots in which his guys always seem to be. He has like a sixth sense on the basketball court. Like, people talk about like the passing ability of some big – no, I've never seen somebody be able to pass to the ability of Nikola Jokic. I have not. If you could find me one player in NBA history who could pass to his ability, please bring him to me, because that pass was like, oh my God. And again, he's a good player. I mean, and again, he can score too. Obviously, he can fill it up too. But his passing ability is second to none.
Yeah, I just was getting so frustrated with that game. Just
Yep.
AJ Green's been kind of off as of recently, and he had a really good game. 5 and 9 on three. That's the only shots that he took. He had that one step back three where he kind of spun Jokic around, but again, it's just these rebounds and extra possessions, or not necessarily even that. That again kind of goes with the Knicks game, but
Yep.
the amount of dunks that these teams are taking against the Bucks and being able to get right to the hoop with ease is, I think, extremely frustrating. I'll get more into that in the Knicks game, but this was one of those games where, again, it was close for the majority of the game. I felt like no one was really just like that on cue. I didn't. Their bench outscored them. Points in the paint were a little similar. Coming back down 15 is just their leads are just the easiest points in these guys' careers, and we're just getting cooked on the other end.
And as you say that,
Exhibit A.
And
Yep.
as I'm watching the game against the Hawks,
It's like the most, like, we're down 20 right now. They've scored almost 15 points already in the third quarter. I think we scored maybe 6.
Defense, and honestly, like what we watched, this defense is providing no resistance at all, none. Like this, honestly, you know what this reminds me of? The last 2 games remind me of like the defense under Adrian Griffin. There's just no resistance there. Nobody's like even trying anymore. It feels like they're already given up. Okay, it feels like Doc, and again, the Grizzlies like just fired their coach because of a similar thing, because of they think he lost the locker room. Well, I'm gonna sit here and be like, Doc Rivers still has the locker room? How am I gonna sit here and be like, Doc Rivers still has the locker room? How? And how can I sit here and be like, he's better than what we have? And honestly, like, there's just like, and honestly, like, they literally just threw a lob and the guy was wide open and we just committed a foul. Like, this is what I'm talking about. There's no resistance there. Okay, I just don't. What I'm really trying to understand from ownership, and what I'm really trying to understand from John Horst, is why we're trying to undo all the good that we've done in the Giannis Antetokounmpo era. Like, why are we trying to become like these other teams? Like, and this really, honestly, you can't even be mad because it's really started back a few years ago after they won the championship.
The run it back era.
When they didn't even try to improve this team. Okay, what they did was like, we're just gonna re-sign everybody, and we'll maybe add a shooter, and that's what they did. They added Grayson Allen, but then it's like, all right, well, Grayson Allen being in Milwaukee didn't help. So what we're gonna do is we're going to trade Grayson Allen. Okay, I'm just really trying to understand what the logic behind some of these moves. Okay. Even go back to 2022, I believe it was, when you trade away Dante DiVincenzo for Serge Ibaka.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you just make all these moves of like,
even Sam Merrill.
Yeah, and
he's another one of those guys too.
And that's the problem I have. It's just like, why are we not We're not developing young players, and that's what this league is played by. Like, look at Milwaukee's bench. Veteran guys, veteran guys, veteran guys. You don't win with that in the NBA anymore. You win with, see who the Nuggets have. Christian Brown, Peyton Watson. Like, you win with young players.
And all of our guys sit on the bench or we trade them.
And I'm like, okay, like, Giannis is fine. But, like, you need young guys who could come in right away to contribute. It's like, but we get rid of these younger players because, like, we're trying to – because what John Horst is trying to do, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's pressure from ownership. Okay? He's trying to keep patching this together. Oh no, we need it. We need to remain competitive. We need to remain competitive. Dude, let me tell you something. Okay? The more you keep trying to patch this together with guys who more than likely won't be here next year, it eventually is going to fall apart. And eventually we're going to have to rebuild.
Yeah, we're going to be light years behind every team who's rebuilding right now and still beating us.
This is the reality of the situation that I'm trying to warn everybody about. Because right now, Milwaukee's like barely, like, honestly, you know what it kind of reminds me of? The Sixers last year. This is what it reminds me of. The Sixers, all right, well, they just barely snuck into the playoffs. And all of a sudden, look at them. They're going to be like a lottery team. They have 23 wins this year.
I think they already are eliminated.
No, they are. They are. And it's like, this is what I'm afraid of from Milwaukee, is they keep trying to patch this thing together. And they're, going from, just scraping by getting into the playoffs, as like a 4 or 5 seed, to being like, the bottom falls out and they have to like completely retool. And Giannis gets even more dissatisfied and he's not going to want to be in Milwaukee anymore. This is why I'm concerned.
Oh my God. How did that not go in?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like Pat Connaughton is still like on the team. Like they should have got rid of him 2-3 years ago. A lot of these young guys too. Look what happened when. Like, look how easy that was.
I know. Yeah.
That's literally what the Knicks game was. The Knicks. I got to pull up the stats again, but the Knicks, the amount of steals that correlated to the turnovers that the Bucks had was almost every single turnover was like a fast break steal, dunk, over and over again. I just felt like I was just watching like a layup and dunk contest, just based off of how much they could just get right to the rim.
Yeah, no, you're right. You are absolutely right. And Daylon Wright, he had his career high points in that game, which of course,
a shocker. Why wouldn't he?
Like, and the Bucks really in that game played well in the first quarter, but then after the first quarter, it was just they did not play well. It did not play well at all.
Yeah, the Knicks had what? The Knicks had 12 steals and the Bucks like overall turnovers were 16. So 12 of their 16 turnovers were steals, which basically led to layup and dunk because they could just like, what the fuck was that? Yeah, I'm getting ready to turn this one off. Oh.
No, and here's the problem. I have. The problem I have, okay, is like these turnovers that Milwaukee is like. Oh, we took a shot to the face.
Pat taking a hit to the face.
Surprise.
That's not new.
But like some of these passes that we're trying to make, it's so stupid. Like, and again, I've never once played in an NBA game. Okay.
Those behind the back passes that they kept doing, Jesus.
Oh my God.
Like, why is Brooke going behind the back? And he threw it right to the guy.
Wasn't it?
Yep.
That was against the Knicks. Oh my God. I want to throw something on the screen.
They did that twice.
But that behind the back pass, cross courts. I'm like, what the hell are we doing?
And then Taurean Prince did it.
Honestly, it would not surprise me in the slightest if I find out that Milwaukee was like fixing games. Because the way that they've played basketball in the past 3 games, it makes me think like there's got to be some mob boss who's like, going underneath, telling Giannis or Brooke to fix games. Because I'm telling you, they cannot be this bad. They honestly cannot be this bad. The game against the Knicks, I thought somebody would have fixed that shit by now. If I find out in a year or two that Milwaukee, like one of their players is fixing, like was a part of a fix in a game, I would point to that New York Knicks game because you cannot look that bad. And the Knicks even have Jalen Brunson either. He's been out the
Correct.
last 3 weeks due to an ankle injury. So Daylon Wright's cooking us.
Yep. Yeah, it's
I mean,
now we're down 20. All right, I'm turning this one off. I just feel like a fake fan when I turn the games off, but it's like I'm not watching this.
Oh, and Pop just got ball stuck in the hoop. Look at this. OG Anunoby, 31 points. When the hell does OG Anunoby get 31?
They played a 9-man rotation, and one of those guys, Precious, played 6 minutes. And they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 double figures. Bucks had 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, well, of course, every role player's gotta
and not to be
gotta have that game.
I didn't even think Landry Shamet was still in the league, to be honest with you.
Yep, he made a three. I'm like, was that Landry Shamet? And then they spun around the camera, and sure enough, Mitchell Robinson, 10 rebounds.
That makes no sense.
They had Cat had 10 rebounds. Josh Hart had 14 rebounds. He had more rebounds than points. It was like it was a nightmare of a game, and I knew that was going to happen. It happened the last time they played the Knicks.
You know what? Watching Kyle Kuzma shoot free throws just makes me want to throw something at the screen.
See, and that's another thing too. The amount of free throws that they are missing in these games is like the entire difference of the game itself.
Kyle Kuzma, with the amount of fouls he draws, should be a better free throw shooter than he is right now.
That was the Suns game. I think obviously you lose by 2, but Giannis missed like 7 free throws. It's like he's gotten worse and worse as his career has gone by.
Well, and his free throw routine gets longer and longer.
Mm-hmm. Just shoot the ball.
Oh my god, bro!
Yeah, Bucks are becoming unwatchable at this point.
They are, but I gotta keep. But like they are, and it's painful because paying Kyle Kuzma drives in, throws him a wild ass shot, misses. I mean, it's the same shit every game. It's like why?
Yeah. And seeing AJ Johnson highlights really starts to irritate me too because he's fast and athletic.
But we don't play him. We don't play him. That's the problem. We don't play him. It's like why? Like just throw him out there. See how he does.
Yep. No, let's just get rid of him.
We're allowed like
Andrew Jackson. Yep. Andrew Jackson Jr. Nope. Let's bench him.
Bro, oh my god.
Tyler Smith. We could have picked up Tyler Kolek.
Nope.
All these guys.
One draft pick. We'll decide to trade our first round draft pick.
Yeah. 107. They're going to give up 115 points in the third quarter.
It's embarrassing. This team is a complete embarrassment to the state of Wisconsin. All of this is embarrassing as a Brewers because at least they're only 3 games in. All right, moving on to the next topic. As
we've ranted.
as we've ranted.
I've been waiting for this.
So as it was announced last week, Damian Lillard, his calf injury was a lot more serious than initially thought. I think it turns out there was a blood clot in there, and he's going to have to miss a couple weeks. He's on blood thinning medication, so obviously prayers up. And you've seen this before. I know it's different areas of the body, but Wemby, he missed the rest of the year due to a blood clot in his shoulder. I mean, it's a serious thing.
That's what Mirza Telelovich had. I know there was another.
I think it might have been a blood
LaMarcus Aldridge,
lungs and stuff like that. So it's just not.
Yep.
Chris Bosh had a similar thing. So it's a very serious thing in pro athletes. Obviously, never something you want to see. I don't even know how I should ask this question, but how affected will Milwaukee's be by his absence?
I mean, we've already started to see it. It's just. You lose your 3-point guy, you lose your closer. A lot of these games that we're losing in the clutch is a lot of it is we don't have Damian Lillard. We're missing the closer and we're missing our second main scorer, so it's it takes away of who's got to be that second guy. And realistically, it should be Kuzma. And he's only really had one big game, which was that Nuggets one, scoring wise, since Lillard's absence. So it's just all drawing fouls. That's one of Lillard's biggest thing, and being able to make 98% of his free throws for the game. So you lose a lot of the clutchness that he has, and it really shows um, in a lot of these games. Again, seeing that we're probably going to lose four in a row by just not really huge margins, but I mean this one is going to be. But they're just, some of these games are just still winnable without Damian Lillard, and they just show that they don't really feel like trying. Like they're down 25 points right now to the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, this team has no heart. This team has no
No.
heart, and they're just not showing it right now. They're not playing. They're not showing any sorts of urgency. They're not playing defense. It feels like they've kind of given up. And they're heading into the postseason, and this is like when you need to be playing your best basketball. You need to be hot, but it just
Yeah.
feels like this team is kind of like resting on its laurels a little bit. And again, I don't know if they're like already have plans for the postseason or whatever, but like I just I can't sit here and be like, the Grizzlies fired their coach because Taylor Jenkins lost their locker room. Well, and again, are we still sitting here being like Doc Rivers' message is still resonating? I
hmm
don't think it is.
It's like they can't even afford to even fire Doc Rivers at this point. Just and then,
They gave him a new contract. I mean,
yeah,
honestly,
paying
the
three
Bucks.
coaches.
They can't even blame Doc Rivers at this point because you got to blame ownership. You got to blame ownership for the most part. They're the one who wanted to push to fire Adrian Griffin so they could hire Doc Rivers. So at this point, like, and again, this is why I knew it was gonna happen when um, Jimmy Haslam like took over. Is This is who he is? He makes rash decisions. He doesn't care. Okay, he's just looking to make like millions. I don't even think I've seen him at a game this year. But like, this is who he is. Jimmy Haslam's a terrible owner. Okay, but he's a guy who's guy's just got a bunch of money. But he doesn't. But like the ownership of like Peter Fagan and Mark Lassery and you know well, but wait, is it Mark Lassery still a part of ownership, right? I always got confused which one left.
Was it Edens that's still here, and Mark
It
Lasry? I
might be
think
Eden. I actually might be Eden's. Never mind.
Mark Lasry was the guy who sold some of his
Okay,
or
all right.
all.
Yeah, and you get guys like Wes Edens and you get Mark or Haslam, and then you get Peter Fagan. It's just like you
Yep, he
know
was a co-owner, is what I'm reading.
okay, all right. So I figured it was last week that left, but then you get like guys like that leave, and then it's just like, well, I mean, do they still care? Because I never want this to turn into like
A money thing.
no, and it's just like I don't know. Knowing what we know now, like people are like, well, they fired Budenholzer because he couldn't make adjustments. So he didn't do well in the playoffs. But it's like, knowing what we know now, I would have just kept Budenholzer because, like, if I knew it was going to be this coaching carousel, I would have just kept him. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
like, because if there were no other better options out there, because the worst thing you could do as a franchise is make a rash decision. And I think they listened to Giannis and the fans a little bit too much to where they were like, oh, yeah, we have to fire Mike Budenholzer because he's getting heavily criticized and the fans are against him. Okay, but he still won. Like, the team still played well. Like, there was never a stretch of, this team was still the number one seed in the playoffs. So we have to take that into account. And, you fire Adrian Griffin after he goes 31-13. So it's just, I'm really trying to understand the rationale behind some of these decisions that they make. They always wanted Doc Rivers, but you couldn't. But
You couldn't
you
give him a
hired,
team to work with.
but you hire him right away for some reason. So you had him stay as like some sort of consultant, just so that if you fire Adrian Griffin or the team lost more confidence in them, then it's like, oh, Doc Rivers is waiting in the wings. And we're seeing how this is turning out now. Doc Rivers is Doc Rivers. Okay, he's a decent regular season coach, but he's not going to do anything in the playoffs. Like,
Got carried in his one ring.
yeah, and the George Bush administration. Like, honestly, he's lived so much off of that. And I mean, dead serious. He won the championship in 2008. George Bush was still the president of the United States. It has been about, let's see, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. 4 presidencies since Doc Rivers has sniffed an NBA championship. Okay? 4 presidencies. The world was a whole lot different back in 2008. Kobe Bryant was in his prime. You know, Michael Phelps was about to win 7 gold medals. I mean, social media wasn't really that much of a thing yet. I mean, there was the world was a different place.
Yeah. The iPhone just came out 2 years ago.
Just came out. You know, I was like, I was about 9.
Yeah, I was 11.
You know? I was just being a kid by then, but then it's like, you know, now I'm like 26, so I'm like, damn, he's really living off these, off of these, you know, that one championship that he won with the big 3. I don't know. It is what it is at this point. Last topic of the pod. In case you missed it, LeBron James is on the Pat McAfee show.
I got to go and watch the whole thing. I watched some of the uncensored, but I got to watch the censored. I got to watch the uncensored, not the censored.
So I'm gonna see if I can pull up the clip. Maybe I can pull it up here. And here we go. Oh, here we go. Let me just share my screen real quick. There we go.
Wouldn't be able to play an NBA game in the 70s. He wouldn't be able to do it. Giannis Antetokounmpo would have 250 points in a game. 250. You trying to tell me Giannis wouldn't be able to play an NBA game in the
Oh, hang on. Oh, we got a comment. What do you mean that the Bucks aren't good? Well, listen to this entire podcast to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you literally just missed the rant.
I'm sorry. I'm not gonna go back to it. But what I will do is I will say that I wholeheartedly disagree with LeBron's comments completely. The reason being is, well, for one thing, you know, the game was a lot more physical than it was in the 70s. Okay.
Just getting knocked on his ass.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing too. So, I mean, you could sit here and be like, I mean, it's a fair thing to say, be like, the players of the 70s aren't as skilled as the players now. That's a fair thing to say. But it was a tougher game back then. And
you got punches being thrown.
Yeah, there's punch. I mean, like that, and like Giannis would not be Giannis in the 70s. Okay? He would be, and as people talked about this, I actually heard Dan Patrick talk about this, where it was like, Giannis would be a back to the basket guy. He's not handling the ball. He's not going to run point as he does now. He would be like hey, get your ass down low and, you know, make easy. Like he's not scoring 270 points. Okay? This is not like Wilt scoring 100 points in Hershey, Pennsylvania. It's not. By the way, eventually there's got to be some footage of that. Someone has to have footage of that. There has to, I want to know who showed up to that game. And have footage of that 100-point game. I would love to see that. But still, Giannis would not have. He would absolutely, positively not have 250 points. Stop it. That's insane. And I love the fact that LeBron did this. He barely does interviews like that. But he's not scoring. But he is not scoring 270 points in an NBA game in the 1970s. It does not matter what era we're in. Okay, because he would not be the player he is now. He would be like back to the basket. Hey, get buckets that way. But he's not shooting. Yeah, like I'm telling you, if Giannis ever shot a jumper in a game in the 70s, they're taking his ass out. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, a lot of these coaches who used to coach in the 70s are dead now, in all likelihood. If they saw the amount of bigs who actually shoot threes now, they would have had a stroke.
They were talking about Kyrie Irving with his ball handling skills, and they'd call him a witch.
Yeah.
Witch!
Like, Brook Lopez like really saved his career by shooting the three, but he wouldn't be doing that in the 70s.
No.
Like, are we kidding? Brook Lopez is not shooting threes in the 1970s. Giannis is not driving to the Giannis would not be Giannis. Like, they would harness that. The coaches would harness that. They'd be like, dude, like, what are you doing? I'm not saying he couldn't handle the physicality, but he's not. Or the 80s, like, they just didn't allow him to show off your skills back then. If you're if you're 6'10", get your ass in the paint. Shoot hook shots. Develop your thing that way. But, like, think about it. Patrick Ewing wasn't shooting jumpers. Hakeem wasn't shooting jumpers. They were the
attack in the basket.
Well, yeah, they were like, back to the basket bigs. They would destroy you from 2 feet in the paint, but people just were not shooting threes. People were just not shooting threes at like that big of a clip back then. So, no, I wholeheartedly disagree with Giannis' comments. And even Giannis said, it's like...
Yeah, I'd score 275.
No, even Giannis said, like, you can't compare eras, which...
Yep.
LeBron, which is the funny part, is, like, LeBron was like, yeah, I don't think it's fair to compare eras. And then that's exactly what he did. I'm like, no, we can't. No, stop. You can't compare any era. Michael's not better than LeBron. LeBron's not better than Michael. You're not going to be able to answer that question. Like, us younger guys, we're going to say LeBron's better than Michael. Old folks, they're going to say Michael's better than LeBron. It's a no-win argument. And I don't like when that argument is being made because, like, first of all, it's a question that solves it doesn't answer any questions. Like, even when Stephen A. Smith was doing that whole thing against LeBron, he turned that into a LeBron versus Jordan debate. And I'm like, okay, stop it. Stop. It's not what the argument is. Okay? You can't compare eras. Shit, even older folks could say Kareem. And, it's like, comparing eras is kind of like ice cream. It's really what you prefer. Some prefer vanilla. Some prefer chocolate. Some might even go mint chocolate chip. Some might go Blue Moon. I mean, it's really dependent on what you like. What your flavor is. So, I mean, stop comparing eras. It's a no-win argument, and it's not going to answer it's not going to answer anybody's question. So, that's all I got. Evan, do you have anything else?
Oh, the Bucks got 8 games left, not including the one that they're playing right now. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is game 21 of Bobby Portis' 25-game suspension, so he should be back soon. I haven't heard word on Jericho Sims yet. I'm assuming he's still got a little bit, but I'm hoping we can get them back for playoffs. And Who knows? Maybe Lillard can come back. I don't know how serious. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I don't know how serious his blood clots is, and if what he's taking is going to allow him to play right away. But again, fingers crossed we can get as many guys back for the playoffs as we can.
Yep, second that. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. Sorry, Ajax almost yammed on him. Thank you guys for tuning into this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. So we'll see you guys next week.